This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. At least 2 Palestinians have been killed and 36 wounded in an Israeli army raid in the occupied West Bank city of Nablus, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. In quote, 2 killed by occupation bullets in Nablus, the ministry said on Wednesday, adding that 4 of the 36 wounded admitted to a hospital were in serious condition. Top Accolade News gathered that most people who were wounded were hit by live ammunition. Widespread clashes broke out soon after the army raided the city with dozens of armored vehicles and special forces at 10 a.m. The army blocked off all entrances to the city before surrounding a home reportedly housing a wanted Palestinian fighter, Osam Islam. His fate remains unclear. The Lions Den armed group said in a statement that it engaged in clashes with Israeli forces during the raid alongside the recently announced Balata Brigades group. The Israeli army said its security forces are now operating in the city of Nablus but did not provide further details. The number of Palestinians killed by Israeli forces since the beginning of the year has now risen to 53, including 12 children. Iran has blamed the United States for failing to reach an agreement over a prisoner swap deal amid reports that progress had been made after a lull of several months. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Nasser Kanani on Monday told journalists that a deal was on the verge of being clinched through intermediaries at an unannounced time, but then the US showed bad faith. Iran and the US have been relaying messages since 2021 over prisoners being held on charges of espionage and circumventing sanctions. Both sides were on track to reach an agreement as part of talk to restore Iran's 2015 nuclear deal. However, since those discussions have been deadlocked for months, there were reports that the prisoner exchange could take place separately. Last week, US broadcaster NBC News reported that Washington and Tehran were in direct negotiations to secure a possible prisoner exchange, with Qatar and the United Kingdom acting as intermediaries. Chinese leader Xi Jinping is preparing to visit Moscow for a summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in the coming months, according to the Wall Street Journal. Citing people familiar with the plan, the newspaper said on Tuesday that the Xi-Putin summit was part of a Chinese effort to play a more active role in bringing the year-old war to an end and part of a push for multi-party peace talks. China will also use the summit to reiterate calls that nuclear weapons should not be used, the report added. Preparations for the trip are at an early stage and the timing has not been finalized, the journal said, adding that Xi's visit might take place in April or in early May when Russia celebrates its World War II victory over Nazi Germany. China's top diplomat Wang Yi is currently in Moscow and expected to meet Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Wednesday in a tour of Europe. Wang has stepped up calls for a negotiated settlement to end the war in Ukraine, which began on February 24th last year when Russian troops invaded the country. Germany's inflation rate showed no signs of easing at the start of the year as energy and food price pressures remained high due to the war in Ukraine. German consumer prices, harmonized to compare with other European Union countries, rose by 9.2% on the year in January, data from the Federal Statistics Office showed on Wednesday. Compared with December, prices increased by 0.5%, it added, confirming preliminary data on both a monthly and annual basis. According to non-harmonized standards, German consumer prices rose 8.7% on the year in January and 1% on the month. This follows revised inflation rates of 8.1% in December and 8.8% in November. Commerzbank's chief economist Jörg Kramer said that following the methodological revision of the inflation basket, there has been no clear downward trend in inflation since autumn. Toyota, the world's biggest automaker, said on Wednesday it would accept a union demand for the biggest base salary increase in 20 years and a rise in bonus payment as Japan steps up calls for businesses to hike pay. As one of Japan's biggest employers, Toyota has long served as a bellwether of the spring labor talks, which are in full swing at major companies. Many are expected to conclude swiftly as the government seeks inflation-beating wage hikes to ease burdens on consumers. Toyota's incoming president, Koji Sato, said the decision to accept the union's demands in full set a benchmark for pay negotiations that he encouraged the rest of the automotive industry to follow. According to an internal publication, On the company's website, the Union Federation, representing 357,000 Toyota Group workers, had said the base pay rise it had sought was the biggest in 2 decades, though it had not detailed the size of the increase. With inflation running at the highest level in 40 years, Japan is under more pressure than ever before to raise wages to revive consumption. But with the economy struggling, analysts say pay increases will remain limited to big firms such as Toyota. That is the size of top Accolade Global News Update. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy midweek.